First of all, I want to thank the Sessions team for having me. It's definitely an honor to be here. Really enjoyed working with their team throughout the course of the campaign, which, as you can see by some of the numbers that were shared, was absolutely incredible. I want to be clear that that's not, super common, right? That's an outlier. Like, we do have a lot of campaigns that succeed, and this one was one of the best of the year and one of the best we've ever had. So I wanted to take some time and kind of go through some tips and tricks and do's and don'ts. Really, if you are considering launching on AppSumo, if you already are going to launch on AppSumo and you're just kind of trying to get prepared and make sure that you guys have all your bases covered and to try to have the best experience possible, wanted to give some tips based on my experience. So to give you a little bit of background, I'm a senior sales and partnership manager here at AppSumo. So I've been doing this for about 4 years now. So I've literally talked to thousands of SaaS founders and companies over those 4 years. I've personally worked with over 400 launches on AppSumo. So when you're talking about AppSumo, most of what I'm going to be going through is our select campaigns. So that's where AppSumo is going out and promoting products, right? We're handpicking products that we feel are special, unique, exciting. We're going out, we're trying to get in front of as many eyes as possible. And of course, convert as many people into customers as we can. There are options to list your own product in our marketplace. We call it self-listing. A lot of the kind of guidelines and the tips that I'll give are applicable to both, but just wanted to be clear that this is more geared towards a select launch like we went through with Sessions. So I wanted to break it up into 3 different sections, right? Because there's different kind of stages of getting ready and having a great campaign. So there's the pre-launch, when we're building up the campaign, kind of gearing up your team to be ready for the launch. There's during the campaign, right? As you're managing the new customers coming through, the deal page questions and reviews, and then post-launch, which is super important, right? We don't want to just have these launches for 30, 60 days and then, shake hands and leave our partners. Like, we want to see them succeed. We want to see them get to the next level in the business, continue growing and scaling, and leverage the launch in the new community that they built from the Sumo links to do so. So I'll give like kind of 5 do's and don'ts for each of those 3 separate phases of the launch. I got a lot to cover. I'll try to get through it as quick as I can, but I think it'll be really valuable information for anyone that's, considering launching or is going to launch and is already, has that plan on the calendar in the future. So to start, the pre-launch, right? So basically, once we agree on an offer, we're going to run a select launch on AppSumo. We lock in a calendar date. We would start onboarding from there. So there's a few things based on my experience, based on what I've seen, that can really get a partner and get a company prepared to maximize the campaign and kind of be ready for what to expect. So number 1, a do for the pre-launch is to communicate. And when I say communicate, our team is basically responsible for building out the campaign as part of, the select launch. So we have a team of copywriters, a video team, creative team. They're creating the deal page assets and all the marketing materials that are going to go out. There's a few deliverables we do need from you as a team to give us in order to effectively build out the campaign on our end. So we need communication. We can't have partners go in and, get on the calendar and then we don't hear from them, right? They're not communicating. They're not asking questions. They're not working on some of the material we need. So communication is huge. Number 2 would be hitting deadlines. There are a few deliverables that we need to stay on track to launch on time. So just making sure that you're clear on what's expected and when the deadlines are, and not waiting until the last second to start working on the materials that we need. Number 3 for the do's pre-launch would be implementing feedback. So as part of the onboarding process for Select specifically, we do have a team we call the beta link team. So they're expert testers, basically testing products that are going to launch on AppSumo or we are considering, getting on our calendar, and they're providing very, specific advice and expertise on different things you can do to improve your product, right? Feature requests, integrations, bugs and issues, and UI and UX commentary. So really trying to polish up the product and get it to a spot where everybody's confident that once it launches, the perception will be very positive and the Zoomlings are going to love what they see and be easy to get, set up and going on their end. So that brings me to number 4 is preparing, right? Preparing your team, making sure support is ready for not only the increase in activity you'll see through your own internal channels, but also making sure you're ready for the deal page, because that is public facing, Other Zoomlings are going to see how you're interacting with the community. So it's super important to try to get to those questions and respond to every review as quick as possible. And then the last thing we always recommend is have a roadmap, right? You might already have a public roadmap. Sometimes it's only private. You don't share it publicly. If that's the case, that's okay. We just recommend having some kind of an outlet for Zoomlings to give feedback. So instead of having everything siloed in emails and like support tips, like send them to a public Trello board or something like that. Maybe it's a tool you get on AppSumo for collecting that feedback, allowing people to upvote certain features or integrations that they want. It's a great way to give an outlet for that feedback and then prioritize based on how much people are asking for certain things and being able to spot trends. So that's the do list. The don't list pre-launch. Don't ghost, right? After you get an agreement signed, you get on the calendar. Don't disappear from our Slack that we use. Don't, not answer any emails or WhatsApp messages. I've had to chase partners down before because they think once I get on the calendar, we're good to go. But that's not the case. There's work that needs to be done to get ready to launch. So make sure you're communicating with the team. Kind of comes back to that last point about communication. Don't ghost us. Like, we're here to help. We're here to have a successful campaign and, help your business succeed. Number two is don't ignore the documentation. We have a ton of resources that we've built out to make it super clear what we need from your team to be able to complete our campaign build, what you need to get ready for to succeed. So if you're not really looking at any of that, you're just putting yourself, at a disadvantage when it comes time to launch. Number three would be missing deadlines, of course. We do have specific deadlines on when we need certain things from your team. So make sure those deadlines are clear. We do specify those in our emails we send out, in the product management tool that we use for onboarding. So everything's clear. So make sure you're checking those. You understand when things are due, so we don't have to chase you down and bug you to try to get things in. Number four would be, don't try to change the deal, right? When we sign an agreement, we basically have an offer that we're confident the Zoomlings will love. So it's tough to come back and go, hey, we want to cut these in half. We want to remove this feature. Like, we got approval based on what we had agreed to. So changing the deal up significantly is going to make it difficult to remain on the calendar, right? So keep that in mind. We can make potentially tweaks, but usually making the deal better, making things more clear. We don't want to be in a position to, have a very significantly less appealing offer, right, than we originally agreed to. And then the last don't, number five, would be don't be super controlling over the content. I know it's sometimes a struggle because the founders and the teams we work with are very protective of their brands, and we totally understand that. But at the end of the day, we are telling our audience why we like the product and why we chose it. And we have our kind of own unique brand voice in the way of doing things and kind of the jokes we put in the deal page. So, we want that to come through. And if a partner is trying to control everything and trying to have things exactly how they would say it, somebody can go to your website and see what you have to say about your own tool. They come to AppSumo to see like why we chose that. So just keep that in mind. We can definitely do revisions and kind of correct inaccuracies, but we want to make sure that, at the end of the day, it's how we would kind of describe your product. So that brings me on to the during campaign do's and don'ts. The do, number one, is listen to the community. You're going to get feedback. You're going to get potentially, criticism, right? You want to be ready for everything and make sure you're prepared to kind of handle, how to respond to certain feedback. It's one of the best parts about launching on AppSumo, the community, right? They want to be vocal. They want to be heard. They want to help you improve. So keep that in mind and make sure you are listening and responding to that feedback. Number two is ask for reviews. As I'm sure a lot of you have seen, reviews are huge on AppSumo. A lot of people use the review section as a way to get, social proof and kind of see what others think about the tool before you make your decision to buy as a customer. So make sure you're asking for reviews, and we can't incentivize. We have to ask for honest feedback. But just asking is half the battle. It's going to increase the amount of reviews you get on your page, which will help with sales and get reviews. So it snowballs from there. So internal support channels, automated emails after somebody activates and starts using the tool, have opportunities to ask for those reviews and make it easy for them to click, go back to the deal page and leave their feedback. Number three would be consider deal changes if applicable. We do our best to try to have the best deal possible on launch day. Sometimes, honestly, we miss the mark. There might be certain things that are unclear. Maybe the limits are a bit off. maybe certain features are just, in the wrong spot on different tiers, whatever. We don't need to say, yes to every request or every requested deal change from the community, but sometimes minor tweaks here and there can really make or break a campaign. And sometimes we don't really know what the reception is going to be like until we actually launch. So it is possible to make tweaks. So we can definitely, help consult our partners on, does this tweak make sense? Is it going to move the needle? Or is it probably something that's not really sustainable and isn't really going to affect or make or break the campaign? Fourth thing would be promote your own deal, right? We are promoting a deal, obviously, as part of a select campaign, but the best partners are the ones that are also promoting. We see a lot of partners promoting to their own lists, right? Free trials that never converted to paid. Great opportunity to send the deal out, use your affiliate link, make commission on that on top of your rev share. It's a no-brainer. Churn customers, another easy win. They used to be a subscriber, now they're not. Great way to get them back on the platform and to pay something. And then the last one for the do during the campaign is keep improving, right? You don't want to launch and just kind of have the product stagnate. You want to keep releasing features and like listening to the feedback and the feature requests and launch stuff and improve the product during the launch. It's going to help with excitement during the campaign and show the Sumoling community that you are actively listening and improving the product as you go. And it's indicative of the future, right? People want to see their investments and the products that they buy on AppSumo improve over time. The don'ts during the campaign, don't get defensive. You are going to get constructive criticism. Not everything's, sunshine and rainbows. So we always recommend killing with kindness. Like, you want to understand that Sumolings are trying to help, right? They're trying to help you improve, help recommend features that would help them better in their workflow and implement it in their business. So I know it's tough when you put your blood, sweat, and tears into a tool to maybe get defensive on certain critiques, but at the end of the day, it's helping you guys improve and helping your business and tool get to the next level and really stand out amongst the crowd. So we're here to support. If there's difficult situations, we always want to be looped in and help advise or even jump in and kind of help with certain customers, but be prepared, right? It's not all going to be positive feedback. We want to be ready and receptive to that feedback. Also, don't overpromise. That's number 2. A lot of feature requests. It's tough to kind of get caught up in the excitement and just want to say yes to everything, add everything to your roadmap and kind of promise everything's going to be done in the future. But a lot of times that's not feasible. So really evaluate, try not to overpromise and then not be able to deliver at the end of the day. We don't want to, be seen as kind of trying to bait and switch people. So number 3 is don't stress about day-to-day performance. It definitely goes in waves. There's spikes in activity. There's lulls in activity as certain marketing initiatives kick in. You'll see an up and down swing in performance when emails go out, ads are running, things like that. So at the end of the campaign is usually when it gets the most busy. So I usually recommend partners just kind of give it some time and see how things are evolving and not worry too much that, one day was significantly lower than the next day, because it is very common to have those wild swings. But overall, we hope to have a very successful launch when the numbers are said and done. Number 4 is important. Don't go MIA, right? Missing in action on the deal page. If you see a deal page and the partner's not very responsive, they're not answering any questions at all for days or weeks at a time, you're going to lose trust as a customer. So try to be as active as possible. You don't need, 2-minute response times or anything, but should be checking daily and responding to questions as quick as you can. Even if it's not something you can answer right that second, approve it and have everyone else be able to see it, and then get to it when you can, because other Sumolings can jump in and help answer questions, or they have the same question, so they won't ask again. They'll wait to see how you respond to that one. Getting short on time, I'll try to breeze through the rest of these. Number 5 for don'ts during the campaign is don't be, I want to use the word shady. I know no partner wants to be intentionally shady, but sometimes transparency can be a little bit questionable. So make sure that you're honest with the community. They love transparency, honesty. If a certain feature doesn't make sense, be honest about it and why. Don't try to overpromise to try to get more sales and not be able to deliver. Just make sure you're as candid, as transparent as possible, because the community really appreciates that. And then post-launch, the do's. Post-launch is really important. We want you guys to leverage your launch, continue growing, not just kind of run a 30-day, 60-day launch and then, okay, and that was a cool experience. How best to leverage the launch. So number 1 for the do, grow your community, right? Add Sumolings into a Facebook group, into Discord, into wherever that you collect and have customers interact with each other. You don't want them siloed. You want them to collaborate. You want them to bounce ideas off each other. So there's a bunch of case studies we have. You can look on our blog. We have case studies. I would check out the one from Phrase. They went from like 100 or 130 customers and like users in their Facebook group to like over 7,000 in like a month. So get them into a community and engage with that community repeatedly, consistently. You're going to get a lot in the long term from that. Number 2 for the do's, create add-ons, right? If a Sumoling buys a lifetime deal, they have certain limitations, certain feature access. If you have something released in the future that isn't necessarily included in that particular plan or tier that they bought, there's some add-on opportunities. There is kind of a balance, right? Because some Sumolings, or most Sumolings, when they buy a deal, they want to get benefit from being an early adopter and seeing the product improve. The feedback they give, they should benefit from at some point. So yeah, certain features are to be included based on what we have to plan to as far as retail plans, but there's some things that are maybe more enterprise type or more advanced or more, costly through like third-party APIs, and it might make sense to do some kind of a discounted add-on. So, think through that, chat with the AppSumo team. What add-ons make sense? And it's a good way to generate, recurring revenue after the launch. Number 3 would be creating affiliates and referral partners out of Sumo Links. A lot of them will continue sharing your product. So if you're incentivizing them to do so, they're more likely to continue promoting and talking about it and marketing it for you and being compensated for it. So that's another thing. Number 4 would be gather and distribute reviews, right? You'll get reviews on your AppSumo campaign. Ask Sumolings to leave G2 reviews and Capterra reviews. If you're launching on Product Hunt, ask them to leave Product Hunt reviews or upvotes. A lot of those reviews are going to continue driving eyeballs and traffic and helping with buyers' decisions when they're researching tools in your category in the future. And number 5 is come back to AppSumo, right? We love partners that come back. They run repeat campaigns. They come back for Last Call and Black Friday and Sumo Day and Plus Exclusive. There's a lot of options to work together again for mainly like the top performers. That's who we normally would have back. And Sumolings always ask, like, when are you coming back? When are you coming back? So there's always potentially an opportunity, depending on how the campaign went, to come back in some way, and we can get really creative with how that looks, right? Show off the new features that you've implemented over the last 6 months, that a lot of what you got from the community. It's an awesome thing to do. And then finally, I know I'm running a little long, but I want to get through these for you guys. The don'ts post-launch. Obviously, don't abandon Sumolings, right? They invested in your company. They purchased lifetime access for certain limitations, certain features. Don't remove features that were promised as part of the deal. Don't cut limits in half that were promised as part of the deal. That's not going to really go over well and kind of ruin the excitement and ruin the willingness for the community to want to see you grow and to promote you and share and talk about you guys to their networks and others that might benefit from your tool. So that brings me to number 2. Don't leave us in the dark on like big updates, big changes to retail plans, maybe like repositioning of a product. We want to be there to help. So if there's communication you need to send out from the customer, and it might end up coming back to us where there's some confusion, like we want to make sure that you're conveying it appropriately. So you're not asking for permission to change plan names or to adjust your retail plans. That happens all the time in SaaS. It's just more like, hey, as our partner, like keep us in the loop. Make sure that if we're getting questions and tickets from the Sumolings about changes to your plans, that we can help, and we're prepared to help answer those questions and not having to, hit you up and go, hey, what's going on? And we're kind of in the dark. So keep us in the loop. We're here for you. We're your partner forever. Number 3 is, kind of coming back to number 1, don't take away features that were promised. Sometimes a product might sunset a feature where it's not like a core, valuable feature or really anything that's being used in the product, which, let us know if that's going to happen just so we're prepared. But we're more so talking about like core features that were promised, like people bought the tool because of this feature and then you're pulling it away. It's going to cause a lot of tickets, going to cause a lot of potentially bad reviews. Like we want to make sure that we're, keeping the community happy and like not bait and switching and, removing things that we had promoted. Number 4, don't stop improving. Keep developing, right? Don't just have an awesome campaign and then not release a new feature for 6 months, right? People bought because they, want to invest early and give feedback and see the product improve and more features are added. So keep developing, right? Don't just walk away or kind of get complacent. just because a launch was successful. And then finally, don't get deal happy, right? Some of you guys might have seen tools that launch on 10 different deal sites, and they have all these things running, and it gets kind of confusing. And oftentimes there's like a perception that, oh, they might be struggling, or they can't generate recurring revenue. It's not wise to just launch a bunch of LTDs all over the place on the internet. It'll kill excitement. It'll cause kind of the distrust or kind of confusion why a company needs to do this. So there is opportunity to come back to AppSumo. So definitely reach out to us if there is interest there. But I just want to make sure people are aware that, bouncing around different deal sites, we've seen it have a pretty negative effect. So just wanted to kind of caution against that. But apologies for taking a little bit too long. I did want to get through all of those so you guys kind of prepare as best you can, or can kind of get a little bit more insight into if you are thinking about launching, what that might look like and what you might need to focus on.